Oh, I think we have our shit together here. Welcome in.
All right.
Your phone's playing loud.
Oh, that was me. Nice.
After all that.
I'm not taking any blame for anything right now. So good to see everyone. Wow, what is it, 1:30? It's 38 minutes late. It's a new record. Not our fault.
But it's not our fault, yeah.
No, congrats to the NFL for having the internet go down on the entire building at the Combine in the year 2023.
The day that we get Ryan Poles, maybe the biggest day in the history of the show, certainly that I've been on, and the internet goes down. Come on, man. That can't happen, but that happened.
Like literally 90 seconds before the show is about to go live.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to.
What are you going to do?
I don't want to make everybody uncomfortable, but I was very excited in many ways right before the show was about to start, and then everything went away. Continue on. Go Bears.
Oh, man, let's hope that's not a metaphor for the Chicago Bears this year. All right, welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Nicholas Moreano, our whole crew is here. Lawrence Benedetto is here. Ali Monroy is here. Will DeWitt's ready to go. Braggs is doing something over there.
Braggs had his first ever questions to Matt Eberflus today, one of the most historic moments also in CHGO sports history. I was so excited about it. And he's very mad at me right now because I took a picture of him having lunch, which is just...
You can't do that, Mark. You can't do that.
Really unfortunate that somebody...
You crossed the line you couldn't cross.
I crossed the lunch line?
The lunch line.
Guy was he looked so peaceful. He was getting so excited to have his turkey sandwich.
You disturbed the peace.
And I disturbed the peace. I didn't mean anything by it. My God.
All right. Well, here's the deal. We're here in Indy on Radio Row at the NFL Combine. You guys watching live have been waiting long enough. We have an insane amount of people waiting on YouTube for our Ryan Poles interview, which we recorded about an hour and a half ago. Very nice of the GM to come sit down with us here for the first time with CHGO. We're very appreciative that he did so. So we're going to have a lot of fun. Will's going to jump on here soon and tell us all about what Flus said and a whole bunch of things. But you've been waiting long enough. So here it is, our interview with Bears general manager Ryan Poles. Well, we are thrilled to have the general manager of the Chicago Bears, Ryan Poles, join us here on CHGO for the first time.
Yes. Good to have you.
Our viewers are very excited, too. So I know we got to talk to you a couple hours ago as well in the press conference setting.
Yep.
I just want to ask this very important question. What's the most ridiculous mock draft you've seen so far already? Because we get these every day, and there's like trades where they trade back like 10 different times, and you have 25 picks in the draft, which sounds kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, sounds cool. I don't know if that would ever happen, but yeah, I try not to look at the mocks. I try to keep a real clear mind on what we're trying to do, but I've seen some crazy stuff out there.
Well, the timing of when a potential trade back could happen I find very interesting. You mentioned this morning that there is a scenario where maybe it makes sense to even make that trade before the start of the league year because you have to make free agent decisions at some point before the draft, but you know having that information ahead of time could be helpful. Is there any scenario where something like that would actually come together this week at the Combine, or is that too soon because you got to get more information?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too soon, but it won't be too far after if it does happen that way. You know, I think the big thing to understand is, and I talked about it earlier today, is the way we set values, you know, for players and where they fit based on what they do and how they would impact our team. So we want to set that up, but you really don't know until you get after the Combine because there's a medical component too. So you don't want to assume that there's so many, say you want to trade back, you know, 5-6 spots, but you got to have 5 or 6 guys that you feel like in that top tier that you think you can still get. What if 1 or 2 come out with some medical concerns, right? What if an interview goes wrong? So we're going to collect that information, kind of put it all on the table when we get back, and that's going to drive us, you know, one way or the other.
Ryan, when you're assessing potential trade options, how important is it for you to potentially get a future first-round pick next year?
Yeah, that's always a good thing. Talked about it a lot so far, but it's flexibility. How can we have flexibility not only this year but also down the road? We want to make sound decisions in free agency for the same reason. So we don't get in a situation where we got to do crazy things just to get by and be restricted, you know, that way. So how can we keep this thing open for a long time, keep adding players, and then there might be a time where this feels right. Let's just boom. We'll just go all in on it. But there are repercussions. We've seen teams across the league do it. There's a period of time where you're going to have to roll the back and get it right. You do have to pay, your credit card bill at some time. So we're in a good situation. We'll try to stay flexible.
So much conversation around Justin.
Yeah.
Would the hardest part about making any deal, if you were to pretty shockingly move on from it, we never gave him the perfect setup to see exactly what he could do. I mean, sort of what we're seeing with Jalen in Philadelphia, where he got his weapons and, they end up in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's always in your mind. We're really we focus on player development a lot. So who you are today shouldn't be who you are tomorrow. So we want to pour into Justin and allow him to be the absolute best version of himself. So there's a part that he's got to take care of. There's a part that we have to take care of as a coaching staff to develop. And then as a front office to put talent around him and continue to add talent around him so that he can be successful. So we want to see that process through. Again, I always say this in this situation. We just need to feel comfortable with this class that, it could be good, but are we really comfortable with moving on from him? And at this point, and we still got to go through that group, but that would be no right now, but we got to meet with all these players and sit down and have those conversations.
So I try to put myself in your shoes, as crazy as that sounds. Like I'm extremely, I'm extremely jealous. This guy's 37 years old. He's the general manager of the Chicago Bears. You got all the salary cap money. You got the number one pick. We got diehard Bears fans watching. Yeah. It's like, is he going to try to hit a home run here? And like trading Fields, that would be the biggest earth shocker you could do, and it would put you in such a huge spotlight if he did that. And this quarterback doesn't work out, then he'll never like. So I'm trying to understand the calculus of how risky you're willing to be with your spot and make the Bears successful and do what you think is right. It seems that's an interesting calculus that you got to come up with.
Yeah, I think you always got to lean on, as a football person, just lean on your values of what you believe in. So if player development is part of that, then we want to see the development process through. And then there's also there's a gut component of it when you see something that you're like, all right, there's something that feels right about this, so we're going to go for it. But there's a lot of pieces that go into it, and we're working through each, every one of them to make sure that we're just making sound decisions. And I've said it 100 times, sound decision making, but I really think if you can do that under pressure and under these circumstances, that eventually you're just going to do what's right for the organization and be able to sustain success and have a good roster for a long time.
Sure.
All right, so as much as we're talking about the number one pick and Justin Fields, free agency is coming up.
Yeah.
You literally have to spend money because there's a floor that you have to get to. I find it fascinating how this free agent class kind of looks. We saw how the Roquan Smith situation played out, this idea of premier positions versus premier players. I guess, how do you weigh a potential player like Saquon Barkley, just for example, because there are some top tier, Jacobs, the running back too. There's some top tier running backs. There's maybe not the premier players at wide receiver, just for example. How do you weigh that? Because at some point you have to get dudes on the roster too to ultimately win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that's been one of our big conversations in our draft room and where we meet is how do we want to attack this. I do think where we didn't have the flexibility to do much, we had to do more volume at a certain level based on our situation last year. There might be some time where we can, go to the top and see what that looks like and see if something can be worked out to have impact players on our team. And then there's a good value of just what we call, good starters that we can also do a really good job and have a volume of them to really increase that base layer of good starters on our team. Which only creates competition and everyone, gets better from that situation. So, yeah, that's definitely something we're looking at in terms of the top and premium and non-premium positions. But I think at the end of the day, we need guys that can really move the needle to help us kind of get over the edge because there's a lot of close games we were in, but I think we need just a few more guys that can make those big plays and big moments.
Ryan, we got a chance to talk to Jalen Johnson in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And he said his goal would be to restructure, get a contract potentially done before the season starts. For you, with everything going on, where does contract extensions fall on the priority list for guys like Johnson, Cole Kmet, and Darnell Mooney?
Yeah, that's part of our philosophy is to retain homegrown talent. when and how that all happens, we'll work through that, this week and when we get back. But that is our belief of ours, is we want to keep as many guys homegrown because we know everything about them, right? We know their strengths, weaknesses, where they need to go physically, mentally. So I'm excited, when we do have the opportunity to bring some of those guys back. I think we'll be better because of it.
Going forward, decision on Jalen or the number one pick, will you sit down, hey, Kevin Warren, this is what I want to do, and is it okay with you, or do you just tell him? How do you anticipate that relationship developing and how that conversation will happen?
Yeah, so I really, so far it's been awesome, getting to know him, and we have a good relationship, and there's a lot of trust there already from our time spent with each other and the research we've done on each other. So I'm fired up about that. But yeah, I did it last year, with Ted and George in our group. We'd sit down and we go through the plan, both college and pro, and where we think it's going to go. And, the support has been outstanding, and that's going to stay the same in terms of their backing of what we're trying to do.
So I'm always fascinated as a new GM comes in. You inherit a bunch of players, right? You were just talking about extending some homegrown talent.
Yep.
But those were guys drafted by a different regime. Are there any examples on this roster right now of guys that maybe you had wrong when you were at Kansas City that maybe you had, not as highly graded when you were with the Chiefs, but then you came here and you're like, oh, actually this guy's way better than we thought when I was with the Chiefs?
Not too many, which is actually cool to, have evaluated in one organization and then shift over and see them, in your own building and see them grow. Most of it was pretty correct. I'd say the one that stands out, maybe Tevin with tackle to guard would be one. I thought he settled in really well there and shows potential to be, really good at that position. So positionally, that's probably one thing that was a little bit different than I thought. I thought he'd be, a tackle, but the versatility was surprising, and it was really helpful for us.
Did anybody jump forward last year like, whoa, Braxton Jones, you had an incredible year, 5th-round pick left tackle? I'm just naming one. Maybe there's somebody else that, you performed way above where we thought you would be this early in your career?
I'd say Sanborn, just seeing that progress, because it's really difficult. You start, you come in, you're fighting just for a spot, you're fighting for special teams, and then, you're on the bench a little bit and you're just playing special teams, and then your number's called. And that's always an interesting setup because you want to see guys kind of rise to the top, and he was one that did a really nice job. He plays faster. That's the tricky thing you got to be careful about with the combine and numbers and all that. The guy plays faster on game day. There's no doubt about it. So I don't really care what he runs in his 40, but the guy has instincts. He plays fast. He's physical, and he showed the ability to be a really good player. So that was one that was really cool to see, for sure.
With Roquan eventually getting the extension he got from the Ravens, are you still comfortable with how that all played out?
Yeah, and I'm happy for him. It was $100 million, that deal, 20 APY. So. I'm fired up for him. I think it worked out for everybody.
A lot of Bears fans on that one think, the way he handled himself, that basically sealed him out the door. Is there any truth in the way he sort of positioned himself, which was super aggressive at the time?
No, I don't really get emotional and caught up in that. There's different tactics, to get different things. So I try to stay level-headed with that. Again, letting the tape, letting the value system play out, and again, trying to do the best thing that we can do to grow this team over time.
You're so grounded. Do you ever get in front of the mirror and pinch yourself this is a pretty good career trajectory? I'm pretty proud of where I'm at here and get to do what you get to do every day.
Yeah, I probably should do it more. I'm just hungry to do the absolute best I can, and allow our Chicago fans to be fired up about their team. Just reflecting on my past, I've been through this. I've had the first pick before and been a part of it. I wasn't the decision maker at the time, but, you take your kids to school and you're around town and you hear, we want to be really good and we're sick of being in this situation. And there's no better feeling than that climb out of it. And trust me, it takes a little bit longer than what you think to get to the very top. But when it happens, it's a blast, and your fan base is just proud of their team, and they want to show up, they want to be loud, they want to be supportive. So I just try to stay level through that and do the best thing that we can. And I try to really separate myself from the pressure too, because I think at that point you can get caught up in making some bad decisions based on trying to do something right now. And there's a time and place for that, but to make sound decisions, I think you got to separate yourself and really lean on your team and your process.
I always got one little quick one for it, but and they always showed you in the box, and you were wanting to win games last year.
Yeah.
But did you at least smile a little bit when the Texans got in the end zone? And
That's a weird setup, man. Like our game ended, that last game ended before the end of the Houston game. So when I left my box, the station had changed to that game. But I went down to the locker room and just wanted to be with the guys because I know they were hurting. That was a long season. That's tough. And really, I heard what happened, but I just wasn't in the mood for it. I got in the car. I had to get home, and a neighbor drives by. And he's like, "Hey, congratulations on the first pick." And I'm like, do we celebrate this right now? Like, I don't know if it's the time and place, but
the fans were celebrating.
we did for you. Because
I just try to see, a lot of us do. We try. Each game is its own little space, and you live in that moment, and then you deal with everything outside once you exit that. So in the moment, I wasn't really there. But now, as I talked earlier, the opportunity is really big for us, and if we capitalize on it, which I know we will, we can do some really cool things over the next few years.
Well, we're going to let you go. We do want to let you know that we have a guy on our staff named Greg Braggs, who's a bricklayer, and he's got this saying, brick by brick, that we've taken to this show. And I don't know if you use that mentality, but he wants you to know that you're more than welcome to borrow it.
Absolutely. I got a little, I think I talked about it on my I got a brick on my desk. Everybody in the organization does, and that's the way we're going to do it, just brick by brick, and get this thing where it needs to be.
Awesome. Yep. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us
today.
You, Ryan.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Right. Thanks.
Got the brick juice. Oh, fumble.
Oh, wow.
That just happened.
Hits principal. Get down there, Lawrence.
That'll be a gif.
My bad.
Well, hey, good hands there,
Yeah, that was good strong. Way to go get the football. Way to attack it at the high point.
There you go.
I think Ryan Poles would have liked that. That looks actually really cool now that I see that on TV.
Look at that.
That's got to be a gift. Will DeWitt's here. We appreciate Ryan Poles jumping on with us. That was a lot of fun. I also really appreciate everybody waiting for that. We got almost 1,200 people right now watching the show. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. We apologize that we had those technical difficulties. Please contact Roger Goodell, on Park Avenue in New York City. Send all your complaints there. Before we move on, Will's got a bunch of stuff for us because while we were talking to Poles, that's when Matt Eberflus was talking to the media. So Will was over there. Braggs was grilling him on questions too. But real quick, we got to make sure we say hello to DraftKings, our partners, our friends. They do such a great job, and we want to make sure you know all about the NBA No Sweat Same Game parlays going on. If you're still thinking about your Super Bowl bets, like I know Nick is still thinking a little. Sorry I brought that up. Apologize.
I won one bet. It was the coin toss. But
way to go, Nick.
That's
all right.
You know
it's
what?
All right.
Sometimes it's the coin. Apparently Luke Stuckmeyer just owned the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he made $500 or something like that.
Damn.
Luke Stuckmeyer just owns life, period. No one does it better than Luke.
We got MLB bets up at DraftKings, and Nick has a play of the week for you, too.
Guys, I don't know if I'm drinking the Bulls Kool-Aid, but for tonight I am to win their third straight game, plus 165 against the Toronto Raptors, you guys.
Greatest trade, and not even a trade in NBA history.
Patrick Beverly,
Beverly.
I'm going with the Bulls tonight, plus 165.
You want to make a side bet on Carm.com, $5, I'll take the Raptors.
Wow, that's negative.
Let's make this deal. Let's do it.
Please don't go to Carm.com. Please use DraftKings. You can download the app now. Sign up with code CHGO. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
I'm also going to play the Raptors on DraftKings. Thank you very much. Hey, thank you to our friends at ComEd. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is back, and they are committed to helping families and businesses in the communities that they serve manage their energy usage and lower their energy bills now and into the future. ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across all territories. So what you want to do is visit ComEd.com/poweringbiz. ComEd.com/poweringbiz. Do it now and start saving money and energy. To start a project, you can also call them at 855-433-2700. And for more information, Lawrence, not today, Business Hoge at ComEd.com or Public Sector Will at ComEd.com. There we go. We are creative here at the Draft Combine. Back to you, Adam Hoge.
All right. Will, thanks for being here. It's a home game for Will DeWitt.
It's true.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just happy they'll let me come back here today to do the combine after the Texans-Colts game to kind of wrap up the season. If you know, you know. We're not going to talk about it here on the show. But, guys, it's great to be here. Obviously, all the pressure is on because the last man to sit in this chair and put these headphones on, as everyone saw, was Ryan Poles.
Yeah, before we get to some of the stuff that Flus said, takeaways from that interview, a couple names that he brought up on his own I thought was interesting. Tevin Jenkins. I took that answer as when he was with the Chiefs, they didn't think he could transition to guard, and then he was surprised that last year he played as well as he did as a guard.
I mean, it basically sounds like the Bears were down to giving up on Tevin. He got demoted to third string, right?
It kind of explains that murky time there where it was like, well, why don't you just move him to guard and see if he can play that? Well, apparently they didn't think he could play guard, but then he did, and he played it very well. And
you get a call one night if you're Tevin Jenkins, and, hey, dude, you're going to go play guard tomorrow. Just wanted to give you a heads up. And he
excelled.
He went and ran with it. Chris Morgan made that call. And Tevin, good for you, man. You absolutely took on the challenge. You had a phenomenal year, and to me, he's the biggest staple on that O-line. Obviously, there's the health concerns, but let's hope that's not going to be a concern.
Shout out to the Sand God, too. Getting the love from the GM.
Is that not so adorable?
Hey, I mean, he played well. He played really well in time where Roquan Smith leaves, and that's his opportunity. He shined last season, so it's good to hear Ryan Poles, shout him out on the exclusive interview that we got with him.
And no regret, right, on Roquan. That seemed pretty clean.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been news if he said, yeah, I regret making that move. I don't think he was going to say it. But I did think that, sticking to the way they value play. He mentioned that multiple times about and this morning, too, when we talked. They have their system for how they're going to value these things. That's why I tried to ask that question about, okay, well, where does a guy like Saquon Barkley fit in, right? Because you probably don't value that position as much, but, at some point you need dudes.
He didn't rule it out. Not that not that he would, but he certainly acknowledged that it's part of the quandary where they're at right now. You need tons of help, and there is not the quote-unquote premium players at the premium position. So maybe they'll look at Saquon.
Yeah, and they also, Poles also said about homegrown talent, right? So that's Jalen Johnson, Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, those guys. You don't want to create more holes for your team that already has a bunch of them. So that's also another thing that's on the priority list for Ryan Poles, and he's already got a bunch coming into this draft. So that's something that he's also going to be looking into as the weeks, months kind of go by.
All right, I want to we'll circle back to more on Poles because I want to discuss a little bit more in depth some of his comments on Justin Fields, especially from this morning. But before we get to that, Will's here. What did Flus have to say while we were talking to Ryan Poles?
Well, first of all, he just mentioned that he understands the importance of this offseason and how it's just a great opportunity for this franchise. And really everything else that he said after the fact just kind of made me really believe the coach when he said that. One other, tidbit I want to share, and I was telling you guys before we went live, was that Coach Flus was actually writing over 60 evaluations on the free agency class. He said the free agency homework in the front office is done. They already have a clear understanding of who their targets are, who they want to go pursue. But now it's on to the draft, and that's what they're here for this week. But I thought it was interesting that Coach itself was actually going out there and writing these evaluations.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the process, but different teams do it different ways, and you don't always have, the coach that necessarily involved. You do, but I will say this, the number 60 surprised me that it was that many.
Very specific.
And then he said that he said also that in the past week they transitioned then to more NFL draft prospects. So now they're working on those evaluations, which will obviously continue this week as they get in-person interviews with these guys as well.
Yeah, he is not easy to get anything out of, Will. Was there anything? Was there any moment today where you're like, oh, that's a little bit surprising that he went that direction?
Talking about Khalil Herbert, raved about him a little bit, called him a home run hitting kind of guy. Mentioned that if Khalil wants to be more of an every down running back, there are some intricacies, I think I got it, of his game that he wants to kind of see him refine throughout this offseason.
Including pass catching.
Probably pass blocking too, if he just had a guess, but he wasn't going into really any specifics. And then even talking about Justin too, the one thing you want to see Justin improve on throughout this offseason is just taking what the defense gives him and just moves on. And it kind of reiterated there were just times where he was trying to do a little bit too much, but he understands like on third down, you're in the red zone, you got to make a play. But when it's like first or second down, just take what the defense gives you, move on, and instead of trying to do a little bit too much back there.
Will, was he asked about, again, this draft, what the strengths are, and maybe in terms of levels of where these guys are at, edge rusher? Did he talk about any of the strengths in this draft?
He didn't talk about any strengths of the draft, but what he did talk about when it came to like the edge rusher and just pass rusher traits that he's looking for in the draft is their ability to bend the corner. He wants to see all parts of their body pointing towards the quarterback. He says it's very difficult to do, goes into the athleticism that it takes to do that, and then goes on to, I think, a buzzword that came out of your polls presser earlier this morning, which was length. He's looking for length when it comes to these edge guys.
I heard a rumor that Greg Braggs might have asked a couple of questions. What would you say the rapport was between Braggs and the head coach? Did they meet eyes?
Where did those questions rank among, probably a solid Pat Finley question, or I don't know if Adam Johns even showed up to that presser, but did he ask a question?
Braggs is not standing right in front of us right now, or at least pretend he's not, so go ahead and be honest. Will.
I thought Greg asked a really good question about, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you asked Coach, does he look at like the guys in free agency and evaluate them off the hits principles the same exact way? Was that you?
Yeah, well, that was the first question.
That was the first one.
Okay.
So I was correct.
Simple yes or no, buddy. You don't have a microphone.
We'll get you in here, Braggs. But yes, listen to Coach Hoge. Yes or no is perfect.
But I thought that was a really good question, and he said yes. Actually, when we do talk to them, we're going to grade them, evaluate them, and ask them the same exact questions that we'll ask everyone on our team. That way we have a baseline to kind of, grade or eval them off of and kind of go from there. But I thought that was a pretty good question for the first one.
Yeah, I'm very proud of Greg, and on so many ways.
I am too, because he was
even when he threatened my life today.
He did. He was very upset with your photo. We're gonna clear that up before we get out of here. We're gonna have a little bit of therapy session at the end of the show. He was really upset he didn't get a question in the polls in the morning session.
Well, none of us did because we knew we were having him on.
Well, yeah, that's true. I was standing in the back for that reason, just sort of listening.
Well, one thing about polls. It's hard not to like the guy. I mean, he's I wouldn't call him like necessarily easygoing, but he's very respectful. Mm-hmm. He smiled with us a bunch, and
normal's a word that comes to mind.
Normal, yeah exactly.
That's a good word.
Making time. He's we're thrilled that he stopped by us. He's making some other stops as well. I just as far as Bears general managers go, and I find him to be very likable for whatever that's worth, and also just grounded to the point. Like, I trust you. I think you're going to make good decisions. I think you're going to make reasonable plays. You are not a wild card in any way, shape, or form, which is totally fine.
Not to the mock draft simulators, you guys. After what you asked him to start off the interview, Adam, he's like, no, I don't really dabble into the mock drafts and getting about 20 picks for one guy.
I think he's seen. I think he's
sounded like he knew what was going on.
I think he's seen some of these ridiculous, ideas that pop up on Twitter every single day. I also think he would have handled the internet outage way better than I did.
Oh,
yeah, you were having a little bit of trouble. So was I. So was Nick. So was everybody.
But that's what you need from your GM, right?
That's true.
You just need calm. Like, what if the internet went out during the draft and the draft board just poof?
You better have hard copies.
That's
hard
right.
copy.
That's right.
Plenty of hard copies.
Polls would have a backup. What do we miss anything else with Coach Flus?
Yeah, actually. So one thing he mentioned about wide receiver is that he said that there is a need to have a guy that can make plays at critical moments. And he said if there is a player in this draft that fits that mold, they will go ahead and do that. Nick, I was actually curious. You're scratching the mustache. which wide receiver fits that mold? I had a lot of JSN on Twitter when I mentioned this.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good player to have there. I still think Zay Flowers is a guy that in clutch moments makes big plays, but
Really? You're not going to mention Quentin Johnston?
I get Kevin White vibes. I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, that's just me. Maybe it's just, I don't know. Kevin White vibes with that guy.
Interesting. A lot of people like him.
Well, for the record, I still think Kevin White could have been good if he didn't get hurt all the time.
Yeah.
So
For the record, don't draft players like Kevin White. He had one good season at West Virginia. It was a total reach. I didn't like it at all.
Okay.
You're trying to be the smartest guy in the room. It's a very, very risky, unlike just bad way to go.
that's your go-to thing anytime a decision is wrong. You're trying to be the smartest guy in the room. Because it didn't work.
No, but he would. Hold on. He had one good season in college, and then you saw him like run fast at the combine, and you fell in love with him.
When Ryan Poles signed Jack Sanborn, wasn't he the smartest guy in the room? Because it worked.
Hold on,
I'm just trying to get the logic.
Jack Sanborn. Did you not say 17 times on this show that you thought that Sanborn was going to be a very good player? That
He should have been drafted.
That he should have been drafted, right?
Probably in like the third or fourth round.
Now, why did you think that?
Because I thought he was a good player.
Right, he was
But
a really
if
good
I had drafted him then, would I have been the smartest guy trying to be the smartest guy in the room?
Jack Sanborn put up numbers at Wisconsin. Jack Sanborn was
no team drafted him.
Right.
0 of the 32 teams.
So that's a different conversation, though. That's the he doesn't look the part. And what Poles said here, he doesn't play on the field like he runs in the combine. He plays at a different speed out there, which is similar to, by the way, when we had Doug Plank. Like, he wasn't the fastest guy out there, but he was going to run as fast as he possibly could when he played, and he hit somebody as hard as he possibly could. And he ended up having a 10-year career.
I get it though. Draft and sign traits, usually. I get it.
Except for Kevin White.
Yeah, but I still think if you do that, you're more times going to be proven right on the upside than wrong.
Leonard Floyd?
This is a Ryan Pace problem.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. You know what? Let's get out of this draft.
Jeez.
the past here.
That's a good point.
Not good.
You got to have it all, though, to me. Traits, yes, but what is your production? What have you actually done?
Yeah.
I mean,
there's very few prospects that are just flawless.
Right.
Like every single one has something, right? Has that butt. The butt. Not the butt B-U-T-T, but the butt B-U-T.
Every player has a butt.
Every player has a butt.
Yep.
You got me all over the place right now. I was thinking about the
internet outage really, I think, zapped my brain a little bit.
Would Poles have been the smartest guy in the room had he drafted Brock Purdy in the 6th round? Not necessarily. Brock Purdy, he threw for 14,000 yards in college, but he just doesn't look the part, so they didn't pick him.
Yeah, this guy saw a Brock Purdy highlight last night and he lost his mind.
It was a great play.
I'm not surprised. Oh, so going through my notes here, just to swipe past that, you're talking about traits. Eberflus mentioned this last year,
but he just dating apped you. He was like, swipe.
I did.
Next
swipe.
thing.
I decline.
It's something that felt very familiar. Keep going, Will.
There we go. I guess we're not matching today. So the one trait that Eberflus wants to see out of his free agent specifically is love of the game. And I think he mentioned this last year, but he says if you have a love for the game, you play with passion, you play with purpose, and the production will typically follow. I think that makes a lot of sense.
You know what I loved about what he said about that, too, is it's not just the interviews. You know, how much do you love football, right? Oh, I love football. I've been playing it my whole life. He says you evaluate that on tape.
Mm-hmm.
You find out how much a guy loves football by how they play the game.
You could smell it.
Well, he didn't say that.
But that's what he means.
That should have been a great question. Did you?
Great question?
Yeah.
Can you smell the love of the game?
What would be the I guess.
You really.
That would be a combine question. That would be something teams would ask a player.
We've talked about that before, though. Look, we've all been in locker rooms, and you can see dudes who, as their careers go along, some guys are football, and just happy to be here. Like one of those guys this year, Riley Reif, was just a Mr. Football guy. Mm-hmm. Versus other vets who've been here a long time. They've made their money and other things are going on in their life, and they don't want to get killed anymore every single week, and they're just kind of hanging on. So the Flus is spot on with that. You want dudes who absolutely want to be in that locker room and do this every day because it's a huge grind playing the game. As great of a gig as it is and how hard it is to get there, once you've made the dough and had that success and been in the spotlight, it's not for everyone to play forever because it is that tough. Did
you guys hear FBI before at Hall? Has that been a Flusism that I just haven't
heard that. FBI?
FBI. So that means functional ball intelligence.
Functional ball intelligence.
So what does that exactly mean?
I think it means like football IQ.
Okay.
But yeah, that was another one that perked my ears up. I was like, FBI. I was like, what's he talking about? And he's like, functional ball intelligence.
Okay. I love how football-y Flus gets.
That is as football as can get to.
Football ball intelligence.
That's why football.
Wait,
it's functional.
Functional.
There we go. So you guys got me confused.
FBI.
I was going to say football ball intelligence. I feel like there's an extra ball in there.
Did anybody else start looking around the room when he said that one? Like, what the?
I think I saw a few people kind of like, what's he
just
cracking now?
Nodding your head like, okay, where are you going with this?
That's an FBI situation there.
It's probably why the internet went out.
Yeah.
FBI was mentioned over the waves, and they're like, oh, we got to check in on this.
We may need a Flus glossary posted to all CHGO.
That's fun.
That'd be a good post, yeah. Just going through all the...
We could do that.
Hits, FBI. What's the other thing he... cup the ball. That's another thing he talks about. We cup the ball.
Cup the ball.
That's what he talks about in the meetings. When you take, you got to have 5 they want 7 guys to the ball, but 5, and you cup the player that has the football, and then you tackle him.
Yeah, it didn't sound weird at all.
Can we do a quick informal chat poll here? Likelihood 1 to 10 that the Bears have their right head coach, 10 being the highest, 1 being absolutely not. They need to move on yesterday. 10 being he'll be here for another, bare minimum 4 years, whatever.
So,
to see where that goes.
In the interest of not playing it straight down the middle, because I do think we don't really know.
We don't,
right?
Hence the question.
I'm going to go 6 because the one thing I will say that because I still think we need more results before we can say. I mean, they did just lose 10 straight games. Don't know if you guys saw that. I know Will saw the end. But, I'd like that they do seem to be in lockstep, that the coach and the GM. Mm-hmm. They seem to really have a philosophy that they are following and a discipline that they're following. And as much as I was just sort of having fun with all of the Flusisms and the Flusosophy, right? Yeah.
The Flusosophy.
I mean, at heart, I am also a football guy and can relate to a lot of the things he's talking about and think that that's, at the end of the day, you have to have an identity that you preach and follow and stick to. When you don't have that, you have what the Bears just had 4 years under Matt Nagy, where they really just never had that identity. So I like the fact that Flus has that. He's sticking to it. We still need to see the results, but that's why on that scale you brought up, I'm siding towards yes, they do have their coach.
Well, Adam, I'll say this too. We mentioned the 10 games they ended the season losing, right? But within that losing streak, the locker room never turned. It was always the same each and every week, and that's a credit to the culture that was built because of Eberflus and the coaching staff. So you could still find a lot of positives in what was overall a disappointing 3-win season, but credit to Coach Matt Eberflus for establishing that culture and for it being as strong as it was throughout that losing streak.
Actually, something he mentioned, too, about the offensive line here today, because they asked, what did you see out of that unit when you're, reflecting on it? And he's mentioned, I saw a very well-coached group. Run blocking, as we know, is plus, but that pass pro needs a lot of work, and he also made sure to say that. But he just talked about how tight-knit that group is from top to bottom, the leadership within that room, and that even though the results weren't there at the end of the day, they're still keeping their heads high, and they're still kind of progressing forward this offseason, even though they're going to probably have some talent. He wants everyone to be as competitive as possible by camp. But for that room to be called out that way and talk about being well coached and being a tight-knit, I think it just is a testament of that foundation that they keep talking about they're building here.
They do love the foundation.
Brick by brick?
Brick by brick.
Exactly.
Hey, all right.
I'm just fascinated to see what happens here in the next few weeks.
My answer on the Flus is a 5, by the way. I think he's dead smack in the middle. I used to be like at an 8.
They had him?
I was very excited about the Flus at the start. I'm not.
Why have you gone down?
I've gone down because I'd like to see just a little bit more creativity, a little bit more. He's just so down the middle. He's so straightforward, and maybe it's totally unfair. They don't have enough players, which is why I'm just gonna say like I'm right in the middle. He very well might be, and there's part of me that also wonders about defensive head coach in today's game. Not it's a little bit of a different play, so
I don't care about that. I just like having the CEO coach that oversees everything. I think that's the most important thing to me.
Listen, it can absolutely work out that way. That we have a great CEO who built a great character in that locker room. There's accountability left and right. Who works incredibly well with an offensive coordinator. Who, whatever, his hits principle just permeates the entire locker room, and guys that are playing at the top end of their talent. That's absolutely on the table. I hope it happens. Obviously.
All right. Well, I know you've also been going and checking out some of the other teams and GMs and coaches that are talking, teams that might want to trade for that number 1 pick. What have you learned today?
Not a lot. A lot of coach speaks,
Nice.
right? Welcome to the NFL Combine.
I will say there were some confusing quotes I saw on social media from Nick Caserio,
Yeah,
the
so
Texans GM. I was like, what?
that one struck me as odd, so I don't know what you saw. So one thing I noticed right away is that their entire coaching staff that is brand new,
The Texans, yep.
besides the head coach,
Uh-huh.
they're all staying in Houston. They're not coming here to talk to these players.
That's a thing that some teams do, and I don't.
This is a prime opportunity to actually sit down one-on-one with these guys, and they're like, go work on creating the new scheme.
Yeah,
Like,
and I
what?
kind of get.
Okay.
Yeah, but I kind of get it. There's a lot of work to be done when you take over a new staff, but I also feel like if you divide your time properly, you could do that here. Mm-hmm. It's not like you have to stop.
If there's a week to go and
Yeah.
invest in these this is the week to do it, right? I mean,
Well, it's
all
not
these
like
young
the front
players.
office isn't doing it. It's just like to not have the coaches in there is a little. That's interesting to me.
It's a little odd. And speaking of odd, when asked about what are the what would happen or how do you feel about a team trading and jumping you with the Bears to take over that first pick, and he's like, we'll be fine. We'll have a core group of players that will feel comfortable at 2, and even if a team trades in front of us, obviously there'll still be at least one of those players left for us just by simple math. I don't know if he's just trying to downplay that situation right now publicly. Lying season could be in full effect, but it was odd that he just was exuding confidence that he'll be okay at sitting at number 2. It doesn't matter who's picking ahead of him.
It's all mind games. All mind games from Nick Caserio.
Bring it on, Caserio. You know you're trading with us, and then we're trading again. Don't even try to do what you're doing.
Give us everything.
Well,
Give us your picks.
that was one of the things with polls that I thought was interesting, which was just the timing of a possible trade. He mentioned this morning that it could make sense to trade that pick before free agency starts because if you get more assets, you can trade. Like right now, it wouldn't make sense to trade your first-round pick for a player. But if you can trade back and accrue more picks and then take some of those picks and trade it for a key player that you want, remember how we always talk about, the players that are hitting free agency, there's a reason for it, right? What is that reason and what is the flaw and what are you overpaying for that's going to cost? Whereas if you get a player before they're actually available via trade, then there's a higher likelihood that that's going to work out. And so I think that's got to be part of the calculus. They have so much room where they could trade for a player who's a year away from getting a contract because they're in a better position to pay that guy. You trade for it. So that's where the timing to me could make sense of you make this move. And I thought it was before the start of the league year, and I thought it was very interesting, guys, when he was on with us, and I just to kind of check off a box and clarify, you're not going to make that move this week, right? And he basically said no because we need medicals. We need, we got to learn more about these prospects before we just, say, oh, yeah, we can move back this many spots. We got to make sure that guy's one of the guys we want still there. But he did say it would not be long after
He did
this week. If they're going to make the move sooner rather than later, it theoretically could be next week.
gets that information that he needed and makes a move.
My ears perked up.
Look at Carmi V just walking.
I think we got to bring her out here at some point here. This is unbelievable.
She's just the boss. What a gangster.
The Air Jordan shoes. I don't know what.
The hand, I mean.
What do we call those pants?
So leather or acrylic? What do we got?
They are leather.
Leather.
They're patent leather.
Carmi V's wearing leather pants and
why can't you wear
sweet
patent leather
Nikes
pants?
that rival Nick's Air Jordans that he's wearing today.
Yeah. I got him.
Can't keep up with you guys.
Nope.
All right.
We're beat.
Well, great stuff.
Yeah, appreciate it. Well, you got
Yeah, I mean,
you got a bunch of stuff.
Other than that, I mean, Josh McDaniels, Terry Fontenot is how I'm going to try to pronounce that last name. All just saying they're keeping their options wide open for their quarterback situations. Obviously, the Falcons released Mariota earlier today.
Yep.
Raiders moved on from Carr. So both of them did say they want younger guys, preferably younger guys to build their teams around. And I know if the Falcons said we can draft a QB at number 8, it could be somewhere else in the draft. He didn't specify if that was higher or lower in the draft order. But a lot of teams keeping their options open, which I'm not all too surprised. And to go back on what you said about trading for more picks to allow you to get more players. That's why I've been a big proponent of the potential double trade back approach, because if you do trade back twice and you can somehow find yourself with 3 first-round picks heading into next season, there's not one single player in this league that I believe would be untouchable. If you have 3 first-round picks in your pocket, plus another one a year later, so that's 4 total, everybody in this league is potentially on the table. There's no one out of your reach.
That's ammo. I think that's a home run that he's trying to hit. Will, great stuff, man.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Will.
Reminder, Chicago, you do have the best coverage for your favorite teams, so get fitted out in the best sports gear around. Foco's got you covered from Soldier Field to the living room, north side, south side, hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, everything in between. Get decked out like my guy DeMar with apparel from the leader in sports merch and collectibles. That would be Foco, F-O-C-O. Yes, you are looking for that perfect gift for the football fan in your life. Our guy Greg Braggs, he loves a good gift. Foco's got you covered with hoodies to fight that Lake Michigan breeze. It's a little chilly out there. All right, check out Foco.com or click the link in the description below. For all non-presale items, use that promo code CHGO. You get yourself 10% off.
And after you check out Foco, you have to check out Game Times, the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. Have you ever dreamed of sitting in a seat you never thought you could, the 50-yard line, courtside, behind home plate, floor seats at a concert? It's possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found in the seats you thought you could never buy. You won't find a better deal this season on Bulls tickets, Blackhawks tickets, because Game Time is created by the fans, for the fans, and guarantees the lowest price. And if you love CHGO, then you'll love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all your favorite events.
All right. I'm just glad I'm sitting between Mark Carman and Greg Braggs right now, because I feel like there's a lot of tension.
A lot of tension.
I feel like the creepy Raggedy Ann house is adding to the tension.
Yep.
Cut
the tension with a knife.
Braggs almost slept in his car last night.
You know, it's just so interesting to me that as a guy sitting in my seat, you underline the brilliance of Greg Braggs. You push him to ask a question to that coach. He asked 2. He's celebrating it. He's sitting there with a smile on his face. You take a picture. You put it out on Twitter saying, like, this guy has
I didn't have a smile on my face. I had a ham sandwich in my face.
Yes, you were having lunch. You are allowed to have lunch. And you know, we don't even have to mention the fact that you were pouting last night, like, listen, I'm going to sleep in my car. If I don't
wasn't pouting.
It was a full pout. I have to have my own room. I make noises.
We don't even have to mention it as he mentions it.
Yeah. So what ends up happening? There's only there's 2 people in the whole house that are sharing a room. That would be me and Nick. Braggs has his own suite, and yet, you know, somehow, some way, this man is mad at me. He's having the best day of his life.
Somehow, some way. Listen,
honestly, having the day of your life.
You two slept together in the Super Bowl, so this is just only right to rekindle that love.
It's
You
absolutely
have a comfort
not right.
level.
It couldn't be
together.
less right. In fact, it would be wrong.
Did Nick have multiple alarms go off this morning?
It was one. I know I had one that I didn't get to. Did it?
I do have to say, this is starting to sound like a problem for you guys.
I had a miserable night's sleep last night. I couldn't have been less happy. But
Was it? What'd I do? Was it just me?
well, now we got bunk beds and
Oh.
I don't know. I feel like
Well, and there's very high likelihood that there's some type of creature that was walking the house in the middle of the night.
yeah. But Braggs had his own suite. It was living the dream all by himself.
That's what I said with the Raggedy Ann doll sitting in the
yeah.
middle of the room when we came downstairs. I said it was like Elf in the Shelf, but with murder involved.
yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
murder.
So you talked to Flus. What was it like? What was it like when you stood there and you fired a couple questions at the Flus?
It was interesting, made sure I got a good spot for our video, and I let Deion Miller sneak up, next to me.
Don't mess with Deion.
Deion's the best. She's been, she played the long game. I told her, let her get up. She's been, schmoozing me for a couple years, so it finally paid off by helping her get a front row spot.
There you go.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah. No, I love Deion. But no, it was a lot of fun, just to hear Matt Eberflus talk. I mean, a lot of coach speak with certain things as far as commitment as to what they're going to do in the offseason. I think you probably heard some more honesty from Ryan Poles in his press conference at 10. I just think when it comes down to it, it's offensive line and defensive line. I know that's easy to say at this point, but that's what they're focusing on. I tried to hold him to, Mark even suggested like, hey, let's find out what his top priority is. So I tried to hold his feet to the fire on what that would be, but, gave kind of a roundabout answer as far as, let's just see what plays out and what's available to us and what's going to be at the number one pick.
Did you ask Flus where Dave, the outstanding server from Weber Steakhouse, ranks on his offensive line?
No,
board?
but
because I think that guy could have. I think he's a second-round pick.
Dave had presence. Dave played to win.
Another Dave he didn't bring up was David Montgomery. He talked about Khalil Herbert and his
because he was
explosiveness.
asked about Khalil.
I know.
Did anyone ask about David?
No, just about Khalil. So, on the hot seat, your boy.
Did anyone have an issue with Ryan Poles' approach with Fields? Still not committing to him.
I find it very interesting.
I want to actually commend Bears fans. I haven't been on Twitter too much today, but it does seem like I do think the overwhelming majority of Bears fans, viewers, listeners of this show, others, understand that this is the game Poles. I actually disagree with the idea that he has to play it, but I understand why he's playing it, and I don't think anybody is actually too concerned that Justin Fields is going to be traded.
Yeah, look, it's February 28th, and obviously he's going to be asked about Justin Fields. He was asked about Justin Fields a lot today, and like you said, he doesn't have to do it, but there's still a long time from now until the draft, and he's updating Fields. He said that. He's in communication with him about what's kind of going on. So as long as those two know, again, what's really happening, what he says publicly, it's what he almost has to do, in my eyes, for what he has to do with Fields, what he's going to say about him. But those two guys are in communication, and they're on the same page.
I guess. I mean, to me, it really wouldn't be that big of a stretch for him or Coach Eberflus to say, we're all in on Justin Fields. And that would squash any kind of rumor mill or hot takes or, clickbait, columns or podcasts. And they don't want to do that. Maybe there's some strategy to that, having the number one pick, but I think everyone realizes they're going to trade it back. I mean, even Matt Eberflus was asked, do you have enough from your evaluation process last year to know that he's the guy? And he didn't straight up say, yes, we do. So when you leave that door open, you're always going to leave more air for, the trolls to breathe.
I wouldn't even call them trolls.
Right. But that's how Bears fans feel about it, that conversation. And I know what you're saying.
Meanwhile, he said nobody's called about Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm. That too.
Which surprised me.
Yeah, but he didn't qualify that with something, saying that Maybe I'm.
No, he was asked, like, has anyone inquired about Justin Fields' availability? He said, no, I haven't gotten that yet.
I find that very interesting.
Which, again, it's GM lying season, but what would be the point of lying about that one? I don't think he did.
I'm not sure. I can never get
maybe
to
just to minimize more speculation, but it's already on ESPN every morning.
Right. I have a hard time. I have a hard time understanding the upper level of who is playing who and what information they want out there and how that. I kind of like to play that stuff straight down the middle. Like, let's just call it what it is. And he's also said that he's going to stay in contact with Justin and update him on how things are going, which is one of the questions that we debated asking, which we didn't ask because we didn't think we'd get a straight answer. But, what would constitute something that you would update Justin Fields on? Hey, the Falcons just called about you today. I know that you always wanted to play in a dome down in Atlanta. Just letting you know they are interested. Would he
Do you have to call for? I mean,
I don't even like what is. Hey,
I think that's Carm's point. Like, what do you really? I don't think you.
Hey, we watched Bryce Young today. He was sweet. Just wanted to let you know. Like, what would you tell him?
Here's one example. Justin, we are not going to trade you, but publicly we have to answer the questions this way, just so you know.
And I think
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense in my eyes. That's what you say publicly and what they're saying.
Because here's the honest truth: they know if they like Bryce Young,
of course,
already or not.
Of course,
they know.
Of course,
like they at least know which direction they're going in between Justin Fields or one of these.
Right.
Now, the exact order of the quarterbacks, they might not have that sorted out, but they know if the. Let me rephrase it because this is his words. I need to be blown away, right?
Yep.
He knows if he's blown away yet or not. That's the easiest way I could put it. You either are or you're not.
Right. You better be.
You don't talk yourself into it.
The combine better not be what changes your mind of that big of a franchise-changing decision.
No doubt.
Bears.
It's so weird. This is so weird with the headphones. Because normally we're in studio and I could just hear you like a normal person. And now we have these headphones on. It's like we're in a helicopter.
Did Brax just discover headphones?
But like when
we're first time.
When we're at home and we have the headphones in, you're at a different home.
Yeah, but
we're all in front of each other. You have the headphone. I feel like I'm in a helicopter, and I've never been in a helicopter.
I think the whole thing's weird too.
It's the second time we've talked about helicopters since dinner last night.
Waking up at 8.
Hawaii helicopter. Yeah, we're here.
The whole thing's so
highly
weird.
recommended.
7:30 in the morning, out of the shower, go downstairs, sitting at the kitchen table peacefully. Then the first thing I see in the morning is Greg Braggs in his weird outfit. That was weird. David Kaplan is here. The great Cap Man, who I don't think we are allowed to have on the show, unfortunately. But
his bouncer will tackle you.
Yes, but the Cap just looks fantastic. I mean, we can't see him, but look at him. He's such a elite level 68-year-old.
If I stay outside Elmo's, will you guys throw me scraps? just one shrimp cocktail.
I'll throw a shrimp out for you.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're watching the Bulls game at the table at Elmo's tonight. Cap's taking us being home to Elmo's tonight, which is or maybe we're taking him, but we're sitting with Cap at dinner tonight. That's right. We're spending it all tonight. It'll be a good dinner tonight.
Looking forward to it.
You look great.
He looks okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He looks okay. Yeah.
That was awesome.
It's a good looking capper.
That was kind of an appearance.
That's
you
actually
could hear him.
That's actually I think the first time I've seen him in person since he was doing the soda thing he's doing, right? Isn't that what he was pushing forever?
The soda. I forget what it is.
Why are you looking?
The guy's been on 28,000 diets. Since whatever. He's just who's ever. That's not.
I was just agreeing that he looks good.
I don't know if we're gonna give a credit to the brand, but maybe we should. Thank you, Lawrence. Appreciate that confirmation. Braggs, are we missing anything here before? I feel like we're over time.
We are.
We're not?
6 minutes.
6 minutes?
Yeah, we're close.
Okay.
I mean, you guys could go longer.
It's been a fun day.
I feel like there was unresolved issues here, though.
No, there's no unresolved issues. Greg doesn't appreciate me
taking
anymore.
Pictures of me
I don't know,
in the most unflattering positions possible and
This
putting
feels
it
like
on
couples
social
therapy.
media.
I'm still focused on the bedroom.
It is
thing.
every day with Carm.
You
He'll call me twice
You
a day.
conceded to him to
Just
have the
venting.
solo bedroom?
He was going to sleep in his car.
I have a giant SUV.
He's a grown-ass man. He can
Yeah.
do that if he wants.
And that's what I told him. And he
But why
pressured
would
me
you
into
wanna
a
sleep in the
room.
car?
I have
I have a giant SUV. It would have been comfy.
We're not doing the internet TikTok.
You know how good the Rise and Shine video would have been
elite.
out of the SUV popping the back?
All right.
That
hold
would've
on,
been
hold-
great
Here,
content.
Let's throw it out to the chat tonight.
Oh, no.
Well, we have an additional problem
Right
tonight.
tonight, Corey Wooten is joining us, and I believe he's staying in our Airbnb. Should tonight, Braggs? We might have to move somebody from some room. Should Greg Braggs be the guy that moves to either A, be forced to sleep in a bunk bed with me and Nick in that room, or should Braggs be forced to, or be allowed to go to his car to sleep and do the TikTok van thing? Or should we find somebody else, perhaps from DNVR/VXNX will allow Corey Wooten to have a bed, because Woot's got to have a bed.
Woot's got to have
What do you
bed.
think? Where should Braggs go?
I think you go Woot upper bunk.
Oh, God.
Woot's half of his body would be off that bunk. He cannot
Where it
go.
would come crashing down?
And the bed I have is smaller. There's not many beds that Corey Wooten's going to fit in comfortably.
Exactly. Too big of a dude.
We're going to have to figure this out.
Maybe Woot travels with his own special air mattress that allows him to
Sleep.
completely lay out.
We'll figure it out.
What it could be tonight for you, Braggs?
What's that?
Maybe you're the guy that's in the front room with the couch and
In
just
the Raggedy Ann dolls?
yeah, and maybe I hang out there
that
with
room
you.
doesn't have any Raggedy Ann dolls.
It could though. It could
This
be
morning there was one sitting in the middle of the room.
Because of someone here.
It walked off the wall and into the middle of the room.
That's what happened.
After probably killing somebody.
I voted sleep in my car.
You voted sleep in your.
You're not sleeping in your car.
I have a giant SUV.
47%.
Well, why don't you tell everybody again how big your SUV is?
It's not that big.
Just saying, it's not like
here,
when you say car, you make it sound like it's a Honda.
I have a Honda.
I'm just saying, like small.
a Honda?
Just say
got
they're
a Honda.
small.
It's a
Do
nice
I need
product.
do I not super chat enough for you guys to afford a room each?
The Duke.
It's very hard to find an Airbnb or anywhere that has
14 rooms, yeah.
14 rooms.
The place is actually.
This one has
It's called a
9
hotel.
rooms. Well, yeah. Most people have to share a room there too.
Yeah.
Listen, we're living the dream. I love our setup. You know, the fact that
Makes
Nick
it
and I get to hang out.
Look how much he loves it. Look at him.
Missed you, Carm.
Everyone could have had their own
missed
room
you.
if we listened to my system, but we
I-
didn't. So.
See,
I-
and that's why I always default to just listen to Allie.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good word
A
of
bunch
advice.
of rooms open up tomorrow, so then boom, everyone has their own
Right.
room.
So this is just a one night thing. As far as I'm concerned, at this point, you can sleep in your car tonight. Go ahead.
You know what? After your little picture stone
Oh.
earlier, you can sleep in my car.
No. I'm in the. There's plenty of room in our room. You can you can come right on in, buddy. Sleep on top of me. We got the bunk bed situation. Let's not misinterpret what was just said.
Let's sleep over. Just our room.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
You'll have a great time. I was listening to podcasts all night last night. Nick couldn't hear anything. It was great. But great day for everybody here. Really appreciate everyone's
Except
help.
for the internet provider, yes. But everyone else had a great
Yeah, that did
Oh, we got
suck.
super chats.
day. Oh, Lawrence has a microphone. Everybody run.
We have super chats, everyone.
Oh.
Can you guys hear me?
My
Yes.
mom,
Yeah.
Wild.
my mom's yelling at you in the chat too, Carm,
yep,
so
Mom
you better
is-
watch
What?
it.
Barb's coming after me?
You better watch it.
I mean,
the general.
Carm.
you don't live that far
We call her
away.
the
You
general.
could drive home.
no.
Yes, you have a giant SUV.
A
You could
short,
just
a
drive home
short
in the
2.5
giant
hour
SUV.
drive.
Yeah.
2.5. Wow. That's
Yeah,
far.
Indiana's
so-
a big state.
Where is Barb in the chat?
All right, ready? Here's our super chats. From Marky Mark R.
Stop, Carl.
Brick. Just a straight up brick.
Oh, just straight. Okay, cool.
Not a
Brick.
brick by brick,
Go.
just one single brick. Today's a brick, next day's a brick, days are brick.
Stack 'em.
Brick.
All right, the Duke, 1999. He says Bears will trade down to number 4, take Jesus Christ, or if he's not available, they'll take Tyree Wilson. Book it on DraftKings. Carm.
I like it.
Okay.
Okay.
Another one from the Duke, 499. For the record, you guys like cliches. This came through about half an hour ago. I'm not sure what you guys were saying. It might have been during the talk with Will about the FBI and all that.
Eberflus. Okay.
I think it's in reference to us saying for the record.
Oh. There
I
you
think
go.
I think that's what
Yeah.
he was going with. I'm not sure that counts as a cliche though.
Yeah.
I think it's just yeah, I don't know. I gotta get where you're coming from though. Okay.
All right, the Duke had another. This is the best one of the day. $9.99. Can you smell a player's butt? Can you
What?
smell a player's butt?
Can you?
You know, every player has a butt, butt.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Can
that-
you smell a player's butt?
We talked about can you smell how much they love the game. This is the thing I love about the Duke. The Duke.
Jim McMahon would talk about the waffigation of odors when he was the quarterback of the Bears. So yes is the answer.
Duke has a wide range of just.
He just every
Super
once
chats.
in a while throws in a $9.99er that's
Well, here's a $9.99 for you from the Duke.
a little over the line.
Barbara, I'd like to adopt you so Braggs becomes my grandson.
I mean, this sounds great. I mean,
The Duke
we're getting in some good family money here, so I'm on board for this.
That does seem like it's working out for
It
you.
will.
I like that.
Then you can get an even bigger SUV.
Yes.
True.
Yeah. Dylan Burrows, $5. Stellar show. Did you guys give the number one balloon to Poles? Will he be handing it off to Casario?
That's on Nick.
So wait. We asked. I talked to Adam. Talked to Lawrence. Should I bring the number one balloon? Consensus was just leave it.
Yeah.
in
But you did also
studios.
drive on your
I know.
car.
I did. I could have brought it. There was space.
Yeah, you went rogue.
My vote was definitely to bring it.
Yeah. I just didn't want to be the guy that messed up the number one balloon. Right. It's still up. Still floating. Doing
We
its
think.
thing.
Carm looks like he's having so much fun.
Yeah, Carm
Oh,
looks...
Carm checked out of the show 15 minutes
As
ago.
soon as I
Trust
came
me.
on.
Has it been that long?
As soon as I came on, he was.
I'm
done
right
with it.
here. I'm just a little I'm perturbed by the sleeping situation.
He looks like he did last night at High Velocity.
Yeah.
When
Oh,
he
that
wanted
was-
to leave.
See, that's the thing. I got to tell you, this crew,
This is high level combine.
everyone around here, they just want to hang out all night. Let's have drinks. I want to get home and get to rest so we can get on this show and be the best we can possibly be.
Yeah, he comes up to me. He's like, "You're getting tired, right? You're getting tired." I'm like, "Sounds like you're projecting a little here, Carm."
Carm, what was in my cooler that I packed? First of all, yes, I packed the cooler.
Brick juice.
What were there was basically 3 items in there.
You
It's
had
how you
red-
pack for the combine.
Hoge has a cooler in his car at all times, apparently, that I learned on the drive down yesterday.
Not all times, but
It's a go cooler.
I used to bring it to Bourbonnais all the time too. But yeah,
He had 2 Red Bulls, a Coca-Cola, 3 beers, and bottled water.
combine.
Dude was legit ready.
There's also the 4-pack of the Starbucks espresso drinks for the morning because hotel coffee sucks.
There was no hotel coffee.
How's the coffee at the Raggedy Inn?
It's the Raggedy.
Doesn't work.
Oh, it doesn't work.
The Raggedy.
The Raggedy Inn?
It's our hotel.
the Raggedy Inn.
You
Just
missed
the Raggedy.
you missed a great late night meal. We had a couple
In
pizzas. We had some
hotel.
wings. People were having a good time.
Yeah, we had.
How about the
we had a
Starbucks this
hearty-
morning that didn't have coffee?
That was
That was
rough.
a new experience.
Yeah. What?
And then the
what are we
media
doing
room
here?
didn't either.
But I was right behind Sean Payton in line, and he went for the vanilla latte. And I said, "Great choice, Sean. Not Denver, but I like the coffee."
Did you ask him if he's interested in the number 1 overall draft pick?
I didn't. I
Yeah,
should have.
what would
Missed opportunity.
What would they give us?
A latte.
The third in 2027. Stephen Haynes gave us 5, I believe that's pounds sterling. Die Hard for life.
Let's go,
Love it.
Steven.
Thank you,
Die
Steven.
hard for life.
You're the man, Steven. Thank you.
And then before we let Carm go off the headsets here, we've got would you rather share a bedroom with a coworker or sleep in your car? Right now, sleep in your car is winning 55% to 45%.
Everyone could have had their own room.
I don't believe that poll. I think they just want Braggs to sleep in the car.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody, you're really going to pick sleep in your car over sleeping with a coworker?
Yeah.
I mean, no one has taken more naps in their life in their car than me. I'm definitely in the team photo. I love a good car nap.
Whoa.
But overnight, that's a little much.
Here's a good one.
You're a little much.
Yeah. Wow. How about this? Oh, man. Hotel whiskey.
Yeah.
That's 10 New Zealand dollars.
That's
He says,
awesome.
Bears fan of 37 years from New Zealand, watching live in Christchurch, New Zealand right now, waiting for an arguable CHGO shirt. CH GOAT.
Arguable.
We could do that.
Chigote.
Yeah, CHGO.
Thank you, Hotel Whiskey.
With like a
for joining
point.
us.
I think that's
awesome.
That was the first thing I texted Mark this morning, 6 a.m.
I will say we need to get the brick by brick shirts going now that Poles is on board too.
Mm-hmm. And Todd Kunis just threw us a 10 spot. I appreciate it. If you have a question, Todd, let me know.
Thank you, Todd.
Todd.
Chat there.
That was my first Rise or Shine live.
That
Rise
was
and Shine live.
Yeah.
that was the first one.
Rising
We're going to do it up tomorrow.
As China just got up from my vehicle.
I will
I
say
smell terrible and have awful breath. Now my car smells too, but get on in here. Let's ride over to the combine.
We'll air it out with the windows.
that's how you
In
smell.
the middle of the night, I
smell
opened
the
up
love
my
of
door
football.
and took it number 1 right outside. It was very convenient. Rise and shine. That's how I live my life.
Yeah, is that what you
Barb,
have to do if you sleep in your car?
That's what you do.
Okay.
That's what you do. Middle of the
Let's
night,
give
he's
it a
on the
wrap sign.
street.
We got the rap
No, wait,
sign. DNVR's
Here,
walking
Todd,
down here.
He says, just the best show for any Bears fans. You guys will make the off-season fun. That's what Todd said. Thank you, Todd.
Thank
you're
you,
amazing.
Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
We did have a good
Awesome.
balance today. I mean, we started with the GM and we're ending with Rise and Shine.
I can promise you there is no show that covered the spectrum of things that we covered today.
No.
Lots
Bears.
of
Not even
smell,
close.
lots of smells, and the general manager of the
Dolls.
Chicago Bears.
Great job by Adam Hoge setting up the interview. Brandon Favor, thank you. Thank you, Ryan Poles, mainly for spending time with us. We loved it. It
Yes.
was great. Hope to do it again sooner than later.
Good show, and the good news is we got 3 more of these this week, boys.
Let's go.
Thanks for Will DeWitt, all his work this morning, too. Bragg's getting some video done when it needed to be done. Appreciate everybody. That's why we got a great team here at All City. Make sure you are checking out all of our shows on the CHGO Sports YouTube channel.
If you're new, hit that subscribe button.
And if you just want more football, too, our friends at DNVR are coming up next. Just find them on the DNVR Sports YouTube channel and PHNX later as well. They're here at Radio Row at the NFL Combine all week as well. So plenty more to discuss if you just want the football stuff. We are out of here. We'll be back tomorrow at noon with more guests, more Combine talk. We're breaking it down all week. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.